Today you will read a play called A Very Tall Tale. First you will read to understand what happens, then you will read to analyze how the scenes fit together to create the action of the play. Remember, when we talked about scenes yesterday, we know that scenes are made to divide or separate the acts into specific times or places. And so when you divide those different times and places, you are able to tell what the main part of the play is about. We're going to start by looking at our title. The title says Tall Tale. When we see a very tall tale and I see a dinosaur, this might be a story or a play that includes characters who could be dinosaurs. I want you to think about what it means to have a tall tale. That reminds me of a type of genre. And here our genre says drama, so we know that this play is going to be a drama. We're going to look at our questions before reading. It says, number 1 says, complete the chart below by writing about scene 1 in the first column and scene 2 in the second column. We're going to be looking at the setting and what happens in both scene 1 and scene 2. Number 2, use the questions below to discuss how scene 1 and scene 2 work together to produce a complete story. In scene 1, whom do you believe at first, Todd or Sally? At the end of scene 1, do you know for certain what the huge shadow is? What happened in scene 2 that brings suspense to the end? If needed, use your answers to these questions to improve the charts. Number 3, explain how scene 1 and scene 2 work together to produce a complete story about Todd, Sally, and the dinosaur. Use details from both scenes 1 and your chart to support your response. Use the space provided on page 286 in your answer. That is going to be your homework tonight. When you're doing that, it says hint. Consider how your understanding of the drama would differ if you read only scene 1. Okay, so you have this copy with you, and as I read, I'd like you to go through and unravel what we are reading. First, I'll read it to you, and then second, you will read it by yourself and unravel it. A Very Tall Tale. Cast of characters. Todd, a 5th grade student, and Sally, his older sister. Scene 1. A hallway outside a door, marked Principal. Tall windows line the hall. 2 children sit on chairs. The boy seems calm. The girl seems restless and upset. Sally. She jumps up from her chair, paces back and forth, then stops. How can you just calmly sit there, Todd? I told you that you'd get in trouble if you kept making things up. You'd better tell the truth to Miss Johnson. Todd. But Sally, I am not making things up. I keep seeing a dinosaur outside the school. I'm not sure, but I think it's an apostrophe. Sally. And it's hiding from everyone else? How can that be? She drops back in her chair and crosses her arms and sighs. The door open. Todd stands up. Todd. I wish I knew. He stops, facing the windows, where a huge shadow looks like a small head on a long neck moves past and then disappears. Todd goes into the principal's office. Scene 2. Todd's classroom on the second day of school. Sally stands with her back to the window. Todd faces them. Sally, shaking her head. I can't believe you wouldn't change your story for Miss Johnson. As she speaks, the head and neck of the huge dinosaur rise in the window behind her. I've had enough of your tall tales for one day. She storms out of the room. The dinosaur's head comes through the open window. It stretches its long neck towards Todd and lowers its head to him. Todd cautiously pets the dinosaur's head, which moves under his hand as if it likes it. Todd: "Well, I guess I'll be seeing you tomorrow." He picks up his backpack and races after his sister as the dinosaur looks on. Okay, so that is a tall tale told by Todd and Sally. So what I'd like you to do now is go through and take about 4 minutes and unravel the story, and use your unravel on the caption and the pictures and the illustration and the title and everything that we need to unravel. Go. Okay, I'm going to move on now and we're going to work on the questions. Question number 1. In order to answer this question, I need to look at the scenes and how the two scenes work together to tell the whole story. First, I look for the setting in scene 1. So the setting in scene 1 is going to be, here it tells us, at the door of the principal's office. So that setting helps us know that in scene 1, they are at the principal's office. Okay. Now go ahead and we are going to look at the stage directions in line 2 describing the setting. It's a hallway lined with windows. The characters are sitting in the hallway just outside the principal's office, and I'm going to add this to my chart. So I'm going to say a hallway with windows, sitting in a hall. Okay, so I'm going to put that here in our setting box. Next, we're going to think about what to write about what happens. I'm going to start by rereading the dialogue. Sally warns Todd to tell the truth. She's accusing him of making things up. Since the title of the play is about tall tales or made-up events, I think this detail might be important. I'm going to write that detail in my What Happens chart. So I'm going to write Sally accuses Todd of making things up. He insists that he's seeing a dinosaur in the window. Okay, so that is what I added to the What is Happening section. And I found all of that information right here in scene 1. Next, we're going to go ahead and finish scene 2. Scene 2 is no longer taking place in the principal's office. So with your group, I'd like you to take a minute and find where Scene 2 is taking place. Okay, so in Scene 2, this takes place in the second story classroom. And what's happening is Sally is upset and leaves. When she does, Todd pets the dinosaur through the window. Okay, I hope everyone can see that. Next is number 2. Use the questions below to discuss how Scene 1 and Scene 2 work together to tell a complete story. For about 1 minute and 30 seconds, I'd like you to work with a group and think about how Scene 1 and Scene 2 need each other to make a complete story. Go. Okay, so with your group, I hope you guys talked about something along the lines of Scene 1 and Scene 2 being connected. Scene 1 talks about the conflict that arises, and the conflict is that Todd is perceived to be telling a lie. And in Scene 2, we talk about where and how the events come to a close. So in Scene 2 is talking about the type of conflict that was brought about in Scene 1. You need both of these scenes together because you have to explain why those two things are happening and how they happen. They help to fit together so that way you can better understand a play about two students and seeing a dinosaur at school. You're going to go ahead now and work through your packet to unravel this packet. Your homework tonight is question number 3. Explain how Scene 1 and Scene 2 work together to produce a complete story about Todd, Sally, and the dinosaur. Use the details from both Scene 1 and your chart to support the response. Use the space provided on page 286 to write your answer. Make sure you write in your complete sentences and check your work. Thank you.